ladies and gentle ladies, and welcome to the third round of the GTRC Polyphony Digital Trophy. Obviously, this is the third round. We missed the second one, unfortunately, last week. Item urgently come up last second. So we're back. To update you on what happened last week, we had a new set of winners for the most part. Jake Burke took his second win of the season. Dominic Kabinski taking his first, and Will Sutters taking his first. So your medium tyre runners for tonight, who will have to have two sets of mediums, will be, well, the three I just named: Jake Birkenhead, Will Sutters and Dominic Kabinski. But for now, all we need to worry about is qualifying. Obviously we have another driver setting another qualifying ban this week, so we will be watching Luke Clark as he is the first man out on track in the McLaren F1 GTR. So the track in question tonight is Grand Valley. Not the usual Grand Valley. This is the first time Grand Valley has showed up in this configuration. Obviously in previous games we had Grand Valley Speedway. This is Grand Valley Highway. Big difference. Well, it is genuinely quite a big difference. They've made a large difference to the undulation of the circuit. They made a large difference to the width of the circuit in different sections. And just the overall profile of the circuit has changed. Some of the straights have gotten longer, some of them have gotten shorter. But for the most part, this is very similar to the original Grand Valley Speedway that you saw in Gran Turismo games of old. Couldn't tell you which the first one that used this was, which really is something I should be researching. But let's just go along with the narrative of this is a very well-known track in the Gran Turismo series, but this is the first time that this version of Grand Valley has been used. And I've got to say, I don't dislike it. This track, quite controversial when they brought it out. Luke's got a penalty, so we'll go along with Witchell. Luke's got... So this track was quite controversial when it came out, because people were expecting the actual Grand Valley. In reality, we got this, which is a very pretty track, but it's not quite Grand Valley. You know, people were hoping for Grand Valley. They got this. This isn't really good enough, to be completely honest, but it's still a good track. See Witchell flat out through the first corner, and then it's heavy braking just after the apex, going for the wide mid-corner approach. Got on board for this one. And then is this flat? No, it's a small lift through the S's. Manages to keep it on track. That white line is obviously the track limits. Oh, but he's gone wide out of that one. He'd messed up the entry entirely for the next corner and got himself a penalty. So we'll go on board with the next car back, which is Yannick Verpeten in the Honda NSX. These corners are my favourite on the track, I think. Really fast and flowing. It kind of dips in. The camber dips in at every single apex. Really fun one. And then this really awkward technical corner, you need to get the acceleration right on the apex. Seems like Yannick has done that in this case. But I think he's got another car on his rear bumper. I'd imagine that, yeah, looking in the rearview mirrors, it's a Castrol Supra, and there goes Captain Chubbs, Che Easton. So I'll expect Che is going to be setting a quick lap this time round. Obviously held up slightly by Yannick, but we'll stay on board with Yannick. Now through the tunnel. This tunnel was present on the other Gran Turismo games, but it wasn't as uphill as this. So I don't think it was uphill at all. Haven't played on this track in years, bear in mind. I need to bring out my old PS3 if I want to do it. That's how old this track is. 2 generations of PlayStation ago. Yannick's got himself a penalty, so on board with Che Easton, because he will be the first one to set a lap in the Castrol Tom Supra. And a lap it is with a 1:48.8. The other two did set laps, but they were inhibited by penalties. So that 48.8 currently stands as the quickest, unless there's someone to beat it, which there is. Dominic Kabinski in the Team Spirit Honda NSX. So Dominic Kabinski beating that lap time, currently sits on provisional pole, and it looks to stay that way. 1:47.9, 6/10 faster than Ruben Thorrejo. So one that I'm sure he's very happy about. Newcomer this week, Dom's just shoved him off the circuit. Newcomer this week is this guy. I'm really sorry. Is someone at the time? Can someone please tell me this guy's name? Because I don't know what to call you in commentary. But we have an American. In the Red Bull livery. So basically how motorsport, well, how, I wouldn't say motorsport, but sim racing works is if you have a Red Bull livery, you are legally allowed to crash everyone off. It's just how it works. So he's going to get away, even if he has bad lag for being American, he will be allowed to murder everyone. I don't make the rules. Those are just the rules. But at the moment, appears he's perhaps not as quick as Ruben Thorrejo behind him. He has already been held up this lap, so you'd imagine he'd let Thorrejo through. But he's not. Thorrejo has to just sit tight, sit quiet, behind King Gila, I'm just going to call him the American. I feel like that's a much more apt name. So there you go, he's just gone off there. The thing is, he's the only non-European in this race, in the league, I believe. But we have a very big grid tonight. One that I'm sure I'd love to stay this big for the rest of the season, but it's definitely nice to see Dominic Kubinski retains that provisional pole, even after the 2 laps set by Luke Clark and Jake Witchell. But that really highlights how quick Ruben Thorrejo was on that lap. All within less than half a tenth of a second, I believe. Even Adam's up there now. Adam is up there, all within just over half a tenth of a second. That's 4 cars that close to each other. But Dominic Kubinski is still keeping that provisional pole. The only driver yet to go into the 47s. I wonder if he had slipstream. I know the NSX is supposed to be very quick around here, but I have a slight feeling he might have gotten some kind of slipstream. He's going purple again. Perhaps got slipstream from Stein that time around. It's very hard to say, but he is going purple again. So we'll just watch this lap. See if he doesn't get held up by anyone. I doubt he will. There is, I believe that is Yannick Verpayten ahead of him in one of the other Honda NSXs. But I think he's far enough ahead where Dom might actually get an advantage from his slipstream rather than be disadvantaged by being held up in a corner. Interesting throttle application, shall I say. Interesting throttle application through that corner. He's going 3/10 purple, and yes, it does look like he is getting slipstream now. This could be on for a mighty fine lap, this one. Go right up the tunnel, then it's left, and then it snakes back around to the right. Need to be careful on this exit because it is just gravel. And this is going to be an excellent lap, especially in the slipstream of Yannick. I'm sure he will be well chuffed with this one. Setting extremely fast speeds. Witchell and Clark have both gone quicker, but it won't be enough because here comes Kubinski. Could it be a 46 maybe? It's going to be a 47, 47.5. The slipstream helped massively there, so you do begin to wonder maybe he had slipstream on the other lap, but definitely had slipstream on that lap, and what a difference it made. 5 tenths almost. 5 tenths definitely ahead of the car behind him, but 4 tenths maybe on what the time he would have set was. I'm sure he'll be thinking to himself he can improve on certain corners, but that slipstream helped him out massively, and it seems he's definitely not improved on this corner. Just got himself a penalty. But yeah, next car back you saw was Jake Witchell, who is currently behind Luke Clark, so it seems like they might be working together this time around, maybe giving each other slipstream. They probably need to do that to compete with that lap time from Kubinski, I think it's fair to say. We'll just see what Clark is doing up ahead. Really getting along with that McLaren. It seems like the McLaren is quite competitive tonight. Both Lark McLarens are running in 3rd and 4th. And yeah, it seems like they're not improving. But yeah, Ruben Thorrejo also running strong in the other Lark McLaren, the other grey and red McLaren, if you will. And then behind that, P5, it's Adam, once again showing this season he's very strong. He's been very good this season, and P5 at the moment is quite good, very close to Ruben Thorrejo. Most of the drivers here will be getting one more lap. We'll just look further back. There's Jake Burke there in P6 with 148.7 as a 0.8. Just watch him as he finishes this lap. Might be an improvement. I obviously don't know enough about the rest of the lap to know. Here we go, Jake in the Advan inspired JTB livery. Car number 99. Not sure if it will be an improvement, but it is a minor improvement. He moves himself up to P4. So he splits the McLarens. Jake Burke now in the top 4, splitting the McLarens. We're hoping to keep that second row start. Further back, Che Easton struggling a bit after that 148.8. Hasn't really set another lap in the 40s in a while. Will Sutters also appears to be struggling quite a lot. Obviously race winner last week and has been contending for the race win pretty much the whole season. In every single race he's taken part in, 49.4 is not where he wants to be. It looks like he's having penalty issues. And Zsolt Langstadler also has not quite got a lap together by the looks of it. But this is his last chance. He has the American behind him, the newcomer. That looked very close to contact there. There might have been contact as Zsolt has gone wide. Stein van der Hart as well. It's just on the edge, on the cusp of the top 10. He is there, just about. I'm sure he'd be wanting to stay there, but is this lap any kind of improvement? It isn't a big improvement, in fact, very big improvement for Stein. Half a second. Can he keep this improvement up in the Valvoline Toyota Supra? And that is, yeah, Langstadler has had to abort that lap. It didn't look like it was going to be a good one. Stein coming very close to the track limits there, and yet that is a penalty. I thought that would be very close to the track limits on that one, so I'm sure he'll be a bit gutted about that, because that would have been a big improvement for Stein. The American running strong, but I'm just interested. Joe is the no, Yannick Verpeyten is the closest to finishing his lap. He is giving slipstream to Adam, so maybe Adam's up for an improvement. Yannick being Mr. Slipstream this week. Jake Birkenhead's gone quicker again, but Yannick has gone up to P11. The American, or Joe's next, but Joe didn't set an improvement, so it's now up for the American. Can he get himself into top 10 on his debut week? His debut qualifying, should I say. The American, not quite. It's a 152 something. But that marks the end of the qualifying session. So your front row is Dominic Kubinski and Jake Witchell. Business as usual for those two, I'm sure. Luke Clark and Jake Birkenhead round out the second row, and then it's the other Lark McLaren of Ruben Thorrejo, followed by Adam, and then 7th and 8th is Che Easton and Will Sutter. So there is your top 8. I'm sure those are the ones that really are going to be keeping an eye out for who leads into turn 1, possibly maybe only the top 4, but there's a long run down into turn 2, technically. That is the first braking zone. So long run down into turn 2, long run down into who decides will be leading the race out of the, well, turn 2. Because obviously turn 1 is that left-hand kink that you don't really need to worry about. So we'll just wait for the race to begin. I'm sure, yeah, there you go. But still, Dominic Kubinski, only man in the 147s. Pretty impressive. He's got pace. That NSX has got pace. Let's not just say it's all the driver, because that car is very good as well. There's no hiding that. But here we are with the race start, and there's music. So I'm just going to put on Spotify so you cannot hear this music. We are 5 red lights, and we are away. Looks like the McLarens obviously have gotten a good start, and it's Luke Clark already up the inside, overtaking Dominic Kubinski. Luke Clark and Jake Witchell side by side into turn 2. Oh, there's some minor door rubbing there, but Luke Clark has taken the lead there. His Lark McLaren teammate just behind Jake Witchell, I'm sure will be looking for the overtake there too, but Dominic Kubinski has lost 3-4 positions there. Not a great start for the Honda. Another great start further back for Zsolt Langstadler, who is currently in P6. But we go again. Witchell takes the inside. Luke Clark gives him the space. It's fair racing between those two, and they do keep it clean. Witchell takes the lead now, but Clark has got the inside for the next corner, and he is going for that move. Witchell just forced to back out of that one. No point staying side by side into a corner where it's really only one car wide. But now that has left Witchell vulnerable to Kubinski. Kubinski all over the back of the Nissan GTR. But Witchell has got himself a penalty, some kind of corner cut. Don't know how, it's all a street circuit, but he's cut the corner. Well, I do know how. It's quite easy to cut corners here, but Luke Clark looks like he just went a little bit wide there, but he still managed to keep the lead. He's all over the dirt there. That's not going to be great for his tyres. And already Kavinsky is going for that move at the penalty zone. There goes Kavinsky. Witchell falling back, falling back to P5, P6 by the looks of it. Already Kavinsky all over the back of Luke Clark. And in fact, Kavinsky has just gotten Luke Clark. Oh, there's some contact there. Contact as Luke tries to keep the position. Kavinsky's just gone through. Luke's going to have to let him go through. He's got his teammate behind him anyway, so he can work with him. So, hectic start. By the looks of it, Kavinsky had lost loads of positions, but already he's climbing back. So is Witchell, just overtaken Che Easton there in the background. Climbing back to the front. But Luke Clark and Ruben Thorejo working together, as you'd imagine they would. Both of them just did a double overtake on Kavinsky, but Kavinsky's not having it. Kavinsky goes back round the outside. It's 3 wide through the second corner. There's contact there as Kavinsky's bounced around between the two McLarens. Sure, that one might be getting looked at. But still side by side, Kavinsky and Thorejo, and there's contact between Kavinsky and Thorejo. Kavinsky comes back across the circuit. Thorejo also off the circuit, now side by side again. Thorejo is completely off. Thorejo completely off into the gravel there. That's P7 now for Ruben Thorejo. Not the start he would have wanted, and he's been given a penalty for his troubles. Throughout all of this, Jake Witchell's found himself back in first again. The lucky word I will not say. But in all of this carnage as well, Che Easton's found himself back up into the top 2. Well, I say back up, he was never there in the first place, but hectic start to this first race of the night. Kavinsky still trying to hold that position to Birkenhead behind him. There's been a lot of contact early on this race. The McLarens are all running together at the moment. There's 4 McLarens this week. Stark contrast to the first week where there was only 2, but we've got 4 McLarens now on the grid. Great to see. I'm team McLaren through and through. I won't even hide my biases. I love McLaren. We'll look further back at the grid. So there's one of the drivers that serves. I'm assuming he served his drive-through penalty. Adam, the American, running P12, Stein, and then the back of the top 10 is for Peyton. Sutters, I'm not sure if he served his drive-through, but Sutters is making the move on Joe, and Joe just forced to back out there. Sutters makes the move. There's no point battling someone, especially they're both on mediums, so it's both each other's race. We'll just look further up the grid again as Chubbs has picked himself up a penalty, so Kavinsky will be looking to make another move there. But interesting stuff between Kavinsky and the other drivers. Looks like there was definitely some kind of contact involved. How much of that was Kavinsky's fault, it's not sure to say, but maybe this race's results will be decided in the stewards room. Hopefully not, because I hate that. Not just because I'm a steward, I just hate any race that ends in the stewards room, but if it has to be that way, has to be that way. Just still watching with Che Easton as he's trying his damnedest to keep going as fast as he can, but he does have to serve that penalty, and Kavinsky is all over the back of him, so it's guaranteed he will lose that position. Might even lose 2 to Jake Birkenhead as well. Birkenhead pulling up just behind Easton. He goes for the inside. Easton stays to the outside. Easton stays ahead using that outside line. Now he's got the inside for the next corner, and Birkenhead surely has to back out there, and he does. So Easton only loses 1 position. Oh, he's spun! Chubbs has done it. Chubbs. He's bottled it, as he's so customary to doing. That's P9. He's right on the racing line, though. Oh, he's held up another driver. P10 will be P11 in a second as he gets overtaken by his Toyota teammate. Chubbs all falling apart in the space of about 3 corners. Usually it's just 1 for Captain Chubbs, but this time round it's 3, so I feel like this is an improvement on his usual form. But Chubbs will be wanting to climb his way back up to the top 10 because it is top 10 reverse grid. He's just on the cusp of it. He needs to be in that top 10, obviously, to start high up on the next race and hopefully regain some of what he's lost here. But Will Sutter's still climbing back up the grid on their medium tyres. He's currently fighting Langstadler, who's also on medium tyres. Langstadler goes for the inside. Sutters takes the outside, but Sutters will be looking for the old switcheroo, and he does get it done. Great move from Sutters, but Langstadler's still there. He's just run over a bollard, flying all over the circuit. Sutters now round the outside. Langstadler almost swiping the rear end, but he has to give in. Great racing between these two as Sutters moves himself up into the top 6. And I'm assuming he served his drive-through. He might not have done, I'm not too sure. But great racing from Will Sutters. He's got himself back into the top 6. I say back, I'm not sure if he was there in the first place. Two Maccas now in the Lark livery working well together. I think their best result they can go for might be a P3, but it's not unheard of. Kavinsky might make a mistake. He's also customary to doing that, a bit like Chubbs. Kavinsky, he's not very consistent, bless him. But occasionally he does a masterclass. Looks like he is pulling the gap to Jake Burke, though. So, say what you will, he's still got more pace than Burke at this moment. But Birkenhead appears to have more pace than the two McLarens, which is an interesting one. Thorejo, I don't think, has gotten that tyre wear under wraps because, as you can see, he's still wearing more than his teammate, Luke Clark. But they are working together. They are going to climb that gap, hopefully, for Team McLaren. Hiding my biases, I'm not biased. I just really like this McLaren, especially this one that Luke's in. But yeah, it doesn't appear that they will be closing that gap anytime soon. So all the fighting at the moment appears to still be for P6. Sutters hasn't really pulled away as quickly as he would have wanted to. He's got, once again, two McLarens behind him. So this is a really good race for Team McLaren, I think it's fair to say. Obviously, only the top 2 will be scoring points, so that would be 4th and 5th in this scenario. But still, very good to have 4 McLarens all in the top 8. Takes up half of the top 8, these 4 McLarens. They're very strong around this circuit. But speaking of strong around this circuit, we haven't spoken about him much, but Jake Witchell is just biding his time up in the lead. No one's really bothering him, he isn't bothering anyone else. He's on them soft tyres, so really his only threat is Kabinski, and I think he's making a gap to Kabinski. So it's all just keeping it under wraps now for Jake Witchell. 5 laps to go. He's got the gap. He just needs to keep it in one piece, and sliding like that is not gonna do it, I don't think. He's got to be a bit more careful than that. But still, he's making the gap to Kabinski, so you can't criticise him too much. Two McLarens still working well together, but they've not quite caught. They're not even catching Jake Burke, and Jake Burke is on medium, so it really highlights the speed of that Honda NSX. Also highlighting the speed of Jake Birkenhead, might I add. It's not all about the car in this. You know, Jake Birkenhead has proved himself that so far this season he's very strong. Perhaps out of this particular race tonight, he will be somewhere near close to leading the leader championships, I'm sure. It's either him or Kavinsky. They're both well in the fight for the championship at the moment, especially after Sutters having to surf his drive through this race and also just not having really the best race in general. But these two Maccas, they'll be wanting more. Thorejo is, I think this is his first time leading out the 2, and he is currently catching Birkenhead, so I think Thorejo maybe has a tiny bit more pace than Clark as he is pulling away slightly. So keep an eye on these two. Could be something brewing there. But back here, the fight is getting strong between Joe and Che Easton. Che obviously trying to climb his way back from the mistake he made earlier on, and doing a mighty fine job, might I add, fighting for P8. Obviously Chubbs is on the softs, Joe is on the mediums, so Joe, I'm sure knowing this, Joe Reedon will not be fighting this too much. And down the inside goes Captain Chubbs. Is Whedon going to fight this? No, Whedon just slots in behind, so that is Easton up ahead now. Easton now looking forwards towards that McLaren. He's in a McLaren sandwich. I'm sure there's worse sandwiches to be in. But he's in a McLaren sandwich. He's got the slipstream of the Hungarian ahead of him. Is he going to be able to make the move going maybe into turn 1 if he gets the run, but turn 2 realistically? And there is the drive-through penalty from Will Sutters, just peeled into the pits there. But Captain Chubbs, he's actually under pressure from Joe Whedon instead. Chubbs gets the braking right. There's the minor contact there actually between him and Landstadler, but Landstadler keeps the position. Chubbs is just going to have to wait another straight now. But the advantages that McLaren gets are on the straight. That Supra gets its advantages in the corners, so realistically he's going to have to hope he catches one of them off guard through a corner or out of a corner, which he almost did there in the braking zone. Do know the Supra's got better brakes than that McLaren. Chubbs just being patient, waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for the right move. In fact, that right move might come here as he's inside of Langstadler. Langstadler knocked slightly, just 2 wheels on the gravel. Looks like a clean move to me. And that's Chubbs up into the top 6. And maybe that's what he'll have to settle for, because the gap between himself and Luke Clark, his former teammate of seasons gone by, is just 7.7 seconds up the road. Way too far ahead, I think, for anything significant to happen. But you never know. Langstadler all kinds of sideways in the background there. Just caught that ever so slightly. We'll look back. Stein is now into the top 10. Adams currently running 10th. He's not really had the best race tonight. I think it's fair to say that he'll hope for more in the next 2 races. I'm sure that is what he is thinking. Payton, though, will be wanting to get into that top 10. He does have the tyre advantage. He's got the laps to do it. He needs to get his head down and crack on. The American in 12th, my lucky number. Love to see it. And he does have Will Sutters behind him. Will Sutters with a lot of pace, even though they're on a tyre difference. Will, I'm sure, will get that position. He's very quick at this stage. And there's no reason why he wouldn't get that position. I think it's fair to say. But gaining. No point watching him, because we know that might end. We will watch, however, Dominic Kubinski does have a 1 second penalty. But this is a very similar story to round 1. He's slotting behind Witchell, but he's miles ahead of everyone else. So Kubinski will serve that 1 second penalty. It won't really make much of a dent in his race whatsoever. Jake Birkenhead, the gap has decreased between himself and Ruben Thorejo, just as it has increased slightly between Luke Clark and Ruben Thorejo. Maybe that's why we saw Clark sliding through that corner, going slightly wide. He's gotten away this time, I think, without a penalty, which is good to see. But Thorejo desperately trying to close that gap. It's definitely possible. Thorejo for the podium. That's what he's looking at this race. Jake, but the opportunity he had was earlier this race. Those softs are better than the mediums. And now I think it's fair to say when the softs are in that condition, especially on Thorejo's car with that tyre wear, it's a lot more fairly matched between the softs and the mediums. So it's all going to come down to who is the faster driver. And at the moment it looks to be Jake Birkenhead is the faster driver. Gap increased slightly again. Cats and Chubbs with another half second penalty, but won't mean anything. What will mean something is Langstadler under all kinds of pressure from Stein van der Hart. Stein on the improved tyres, but Langstadler with the improved top speed of that McLaren. Again, former teammates from seasons gone by, these two. Langstadler just biding his time. In fact, isn't able to make the move there. Langstadler just keeps that position, keeps ahead. Van der Hart staying patient. He knows he's going to have plenty of opportunities over the next 2 laps, but he does go for the outside there. Bold move. Is it going to work? Oh, he had a nose in, but it wasn't quite enough. Just shoved wide ever so slightly. All fair racing though, all clean. Very respectful between these two, obviously, and Langstadler just stays ahead. Van der Hart again all over the back of Zsolt. Zsolt is not letting anything through. Well, except for that, he's just let that one through. But again, getting a better exit than Van der Hart. Stein just doesn't really have it. You know, Langsaddler at this stage looks quicker than Stein, even though Stein has got the tyre advantage. Which maybe is just the story of the mediums versus the softs as the softs wear off. But again, all over the track now, Stein gets a really good chance. Langsaddler's gone far to the inside there. Stein is forced to the outside. Is this the move done? No, still by... Oh, contact! Contact as Stein is into the wall. Contact there between Langsaddler himself, and Langsaddler has let him back through, so good sportsmanship between the two. Langsaddler let him through, obviously following the good contact, but all of that means Langsaddler has lost a bunch of positions. Stein has gained nothing because Joe Whedon has just capitalised on that completely. He's seen the contact and said thank you very much. So Stein van der Hart has got to go for all that again, try and get that P7. Very possible, but now he's got Adam all over the back of him. Adam has also got very good pace at this stage of the race. It's all to play for now, final lap. And this is the main battle on the circuit at the moment. The battle for P7. Joe Whedon just staying ahead. In fact, I think Stein might be having to look more at his rear mirrors at this stage in the race rather than in front of him. Joe just keeping a really big gap in front of him. It's going to be close. Whedon leads. Oh, but you can see the advantage of the softs through that corner, especially how much Stein closed there. And Stein, I'm sure, is going to be trying to get the position in any way possible. He's going to look for any mistake that Whedon makes, any slow exit, any slow entry, in fact, because he knows that it's going to be difficult for him to get him on the straight. He'll need some kind of unholy slipstream to get this one done. Stein, this might be his last chance. We'll look further up the grid as here comes Jake Witchell with the first win of the evening, and quite a good one indeed. Dominic Kubinski rounds out the top two, should I say, and then it's Jake Birkenhead takes the final podium position, but we are looking at Stein van der Hart, who just got a really poor exit there. This could be close actually between himself and Adam now. This is a fight for P8. Stein has completely lost all hope at P7, and it's now Adam all over the back of Stein van der Hart. Joe Whedon does in fact take P7, and then just behind is Stein pulling to the inside. Is he going to get it done? He does get it done ahead of Adam. Stein takes P8, Adam stays in P9, and then it's Super P10 who will be starting on pole in the next race. Payton just misses out on that top 10. So does Sutters after quite a good recovery from the drive-through he had, but big shake-up in the championship, I think it's fair to say, after seeing Sutters finish 12th. Very big shake-up. We could see potentially a new leader out of this specific race, either Kubinski or Jake Birkenhead. I reckon it'd be Jake Birkenhead personally. It'd be nice if I knew the standings. I kind of do, kind of don't. But yeah. So, good race from Witchell on his return. He's got to serve the mediums twice, so I'd imagine the next two races are going to be on the medium tyres, and he'll have to do the same next week as well. Brutal. Very brutal. Let's just make sure that someone saves the replay, because I don't think I have the space to do it, I'm afraid. Oh, give it a go. I do have the space. What luck. Here we go, here's your finishing order. Fastest lap in the end was taken by Dominic Kubinski, but I don't think there's a point for fastest lap. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's a point. But still, impressive stuff from Dominic Kubinski. In qualifying, he was the only man in the 47s. This time round, Witchell did get a 47, but still impressive stuff from Kubinski. I'm sure he still would have gotten pole at that time. So great laps from him. Keep an eye out for him, but he does have to use the mediums now twice. So next race and the race after that, him and Witchell were both on the medium tyres. So anything can happen this point on. My money is on Langstadler, to be completely honest. Starting on pole, doesn't have to use the mediums twice. And he's in the car for it. He's in a very strong car. It's him or Adam. That's my bet, him or Adam. Or Stein. I'm just practically naming everyone here, though. Don't count out Luke Clark. I think it's fair to say, don't count out Luke Clark. There we go. The lobby settings have been changed for the second race, and the grid will be reversed. So we'll just have to wait a couple moments for that. While we're doing that, we'll just watch a couple laps with Luke Clark. Why not? Who's it going to kill? In the meantime, who have we got in the park? We've got Dominic Kavinsky said he's stupid. I was just about to ask, who's watching right now? Who's in chat? Other than Dominic Kavinsky, who's stupid. His words, not mine. Oh, I need to put my phone on charge. Give me a moment. Did I just get tagged in a message? Ah, oh, fucking hell. Sorry, I shouldn't be using that language on the official GTRC stream. Politely suck my dick. Look at that beautiful helmet. And he's deciding he's going to park it in the wonderfully placed car park. The American is having none of it. The American's going for the lap record, I think. I know he's on mediums. The American's not going for the lap record. One can dream, eh? One can dream. I'll tell you who isn't going for the lap record is Witchell, driving in reverse. What's Joe Whedon doing at the moment? It's also driving cars. You know, a really shocking thing actually about car racing is when you jump to any of the cars, they are in fact driving cars. And I know, like, it's one of those crazy concepts about motorsport is that all they do is they just drive cars around in circles. It's good though. Pretty interesting. I will say it's pretty interesting, even if that's all they're doing. And, you know, the name of the game is, for motorsport, is who can be the quickest to drive around in 10 circles. In this case, they're doing 10 of them. 10 slightly weird-shaped circles. It's mental. Mental scenes. Looks like Kabinski has also decided to park up alongside Clark in that car park. So has Joe Whedon. Should take a quick look at the liveries, why don't we? Clark obviously in the all authentic, all beautiful, all lovely Lark F1 GTR. Fact about the real life car, they didn't really do a very good job of repainting this thing very often, so as the season went on, this red started to turn pink, which is, as we all know, the greatest colour for a race car of all time. No bias, I couldn't tell you who made that pink car in the middle there. It was me. So we got the less authentic version of Luke's livery up there. This is obviously a re-sponsored version. It's for Mr. 90's personal sponsors, but here we go. Start of race 2. Grid start with a false start check like the first one. Langstadler on pole, Adam third, and then it's Stein van der Hart in third, and Joe Whedon finishes out the second row with 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go. And what a start already from Langstadler. Could this be opportunity number 2 to get that win? He had a chance 2 weeks ago. This looks like a prime opportunity, but I'm sure he'll get more chances for the rest of this season. But the two McLarens getting a very good start there. Adam holds his third place, still third place, ahead of Stein. And then it's Stein's Toyota teammate in the Castrol Toms. Is he looking for the early overtake? He is. Chubbs, ooh, heavy down the inside, but he does get not 1, not 2, but 3 moves done there by the looks of it. 3 moves in 1, and Chubbs is already up to second. I mean, bloody hell. Then, you know, it was a very late overtake for me, very ballsy, but it was clean, so good on him. Up to P2. Adam still in third against all of this. I'd just like to point out, you know, he hasn't gained or lost anything. And then Joe Whedon just leads out Stein van der Hart. But look at the gaggle of cars behind them. It's 3 wide at certain bits. There, Thorejo, Birkenhead, Witchell and Sutters all scrapping, and Clark trying desperately to get away from that, as you would. Witchell goes for the inside on Clark. Clark has to leave the gap there. There is a car there. Clark has to respect it. And Clark just losing out on that one there to Witchell. Clark's on the softs. Witchell is on the mediums. Of course, Witchell will be on the mediums for the rest of tonight now. But just in the top 6 now. Just behind Stein. It looks like that Witchell's pace has not decreased by much, if any, really. I mean, still just as quick as usual. Where is Kabinski? Kabinski is still P10, okay. Kabinski didn't look like he got the best of starts there by the looks of it. Obviously starting P9, he's still P10. He almost lost another position there. It looked like Thorejo was sizing up a move there, but couldn't quite get it done. Clark has lost another position to Sutters. Clark doesn't look like he's quite gelling with this circuit like some of the other drivers are, but Sutters and Witchell did have a moment there. There was certainly dirt everywhere. Oh, Birkenhead. Birkenhead has just had contact with Clark there, but Birkenhead obviously not taking the move. Not what you want to see though. But good on Birkenhead for not keeping his foot down in that one. Yeah, Witchell appears he might be struggling slightly, or made some kind of incident, because he's not quite there. He was there, he's not quite there, and Witchell has gained, or Sutters, sorry, has gained a position on him. So I'd imagine something happened. As you'd expect in a race, something does tend to happen. And now he's got Kabinski all over the back of him, both on the medium tyres for the rest of the night. Down the inside. Witchell just forced to back out because those mediums don't really quite have the same grip as the softs do, trying to take that line. Kabinski now up to P7. Be hoping to get into the top 6, but 7th might be the highest that him and Sutters, or him and Witchell can really look for in those mediums. All the cars ahead are on softs and all of them are very quick. But the leader, we did miss the overtake for the lead. The overtake for the lead happened, and now Che Easton is leading by quite a convincing margin. Could this be a new win to add to his collection? Certainly looking like he's in a prime position to take a win tonight. While saying that, he might have just picked himself up a penalty there. He has, yeah, he's picked up a penalty. Going to stop spectating him because that's commentator's curse at his finest. Sutters doing things to people. Couldn't tell you if that was clean because I didn't actually see it. I just saw he was doing things to people. Witchell really doesn't quite have the pace that he had on them soft tyres in the first race. Not saying he's struggling, just saying he's not as quick as Kabinski at this stage in the race. Birkenhead is also on their mediums, which is, I mean, we all know the NSX is very strong on the medium tyres, so it really comes as no surprise that, you know, Witchell is struggling to keep up with a bunch of NSXs also on the same tyre as him. Luke Clark on the soft tyres for the second time round, so he will be using the mediums in the last race. Just biding his time behind Sophie's gone wide there. There might have been contact between Clark and himself, and I believe there was, because Clark didn't take the move there. So Clark just biding his time between, or behind the green monstrosity that is in front of him. She's gone for the move there on the fast right hand, or sorry, looks like he did. Hadn't quite there, she's pushing him along now. This be a late lunge? Not quite. So Chubbs did serve that penalty, we missed it again. But he's still keeping the lead quite healthy between himself and Langstadler. Langstadler does go off there. Ooh, careful on the return, Langstadler. He does just, unfortunate, really unfortunate. He does keep his head out of trouble though, no incidents there, but really unlucky for Zoltan Sadler there. But what the hell is going on here? It's 3 wide for a corner where you should, you know, being risky to take it 2 wide, but 3 wide there. Kavinsky off the circuit at the moment. Stein has picked himself up another penalty somehow. But the loser of all of that was Joe Whedon. Couldn't tell you what happened. Something happened. You know, as is customary of a race, things do happen. But Sutters is making good pace, making good time. 3 seconds between himself and the leader at this stage in the race. Stein van der Hart, unfortunately, does have to serve that penalty. Looked like he had pace there, but what is going on in the background here? Jay Birkenhead, Langshadler and Sophie doing things. And Witchell's fallen back even further. This has not been a good one for Jake Witchell, not whatsoever. Again, sliding out of that corner, but just catches the slide well. Evidence of an experienced driver, that, if you can catch a slide. Clark all over the back of him. Clark, in fact, is going for that move. These two good friends, but obviously on the track that means nothing, or in the words of Luke Clark himself, means no. Bloody northerner. He does make the move there. It's turn 2. So Clark in prime position. Oh, contact! Contact between himself and Witchell. Witchell looked to have lost the car there a little bit, and that's Clark going spinning off there. Witchell just catching the rear end of Luke's car. By the looks of it, really unfortunate one there. But we'll have to look at the replay of that one after the race, but that's unlucky, very unlucky. It seems like every time I spectate someone, something bad happens. So I'm just not going to look at them. I'm not going to look at Luke anymore. Who are the yellow flags for? Ah, Kavinsky probably. It's Kavinsky. I'm guessing he had some kind of off. He's just pulled back onto the circuit. Oh my God, Witchell all over the place again in the background. Kavinsky just loses the position there. But he's a patient driver, he'll wait for the opportune moment. And look who's that, just joined the lobby, so that is Tyler Davison, who I'm sure will be racing in the final race. So we're going to have 15 cars in the final race, hopefully, fingers crossed. And won't that be amazing? Oh, contact again. Kavinsky's just gone off into the gravel. Kavinsky's not having a good race here. I really don't know what's going on with Witchell's race tonight. It looks really struggling on their medium tyres. Just look further up. Adam has just taken the race lead from Chubbs, but Chubbs is still fighting it. Chubbs keeps that lead. Sutters is not gaining on these two. So Sutters is, the gap's increased since the last time we looked. So the battle for the race win appears to be between these two at the moment, at the very least. I mean, there's plenty of laps left to go, so anything can happen. But two drivers who have not won a race so far this season, both fighting for the race win. And as I said, anything can happen. There's plenty of laps to go. Anything can happen. Chubbs looking very quick, very handy, it's fair to say, in that Supra tonight. But Adam does have the fastest lap, and Chubbs might have picked himself a penalty there. I'm not going to say anything, but I think he might have picked himself a penalty. He didn't. He's gotten away with it. Good job, Chubbs. Chubbs, yeah, looking very handy. Adam also looking quite fast. He's got that fastest lap, obviously on the last lap, 48.6. I think it'd be between these two. I really do. Because, I mean, Sutters is quick, but he's just seen him. He's struggling quite a lot in these conditions. Really struggling in these conditions. I don't know what's changed for him. Might need to worry about Birkenhead on the mediums. I doubt it, but you never know. This track's really proving to be more difficult for some drivers than other tracks have been, just historically in GTRC, really, not just this season. But Witchell, he's gaining ground back. Has he got everything under control? Sophie in front does have a half-second penalty. But he's not sliding out of every single corner now, so maybe this is climbing back up the grid potentially. He does have Langstadler behind him. Langstadler is pushing him along, and that is really one of the best cars you can have pushing you along the straight, to be honest. And that's 2 cars overtaking 1. Witchell gets the move done. Still side by side though between Sophie and Langstadler. Perhaps Langstadler will get the move done in this corner. He does. So Witchell's back into the top 6. Langstadler just behind. It is realistic they might be able to get Joe, because Joe has... Well, Joe's taken a book. He's taken a tip out of Ruben's book on how to look after tyres. And by that, he's just not looked after his tyres. Those are the worst tyres I think I've seen all season. We're on lap 7, bear in mind, lap 7. Look at his front left. Birkenhead serving a penalty very soon, but yeah, Sutters, it's definitely a race between these top 2. I say that. Adams just picks himself up a penalty, but these top 2 look to be the contenders. Sutters, I think, is out of this one. I think Sutters is really out of this one. Birkenhead as well, just too far back to make anything done. Obviously these 2 are quite obviously too far back, as Witchell, he closes in on Joe Witt, especially with those poorly softs, and in fact Witchell is now in prime position to make the move done, sliding again out that corner. But Witchell just pulling ahead of him with ease. He says, "Thank you very much, I'll take that." As does Langstadler. So Witchell now up into the top 5. Is there a bit of a fight brewing anywhere else? We've got Thorejo, and then it's Gawinski and Sophie, and then Clark. Clark's not having the best race, I think, this one. I mean, he had that incident earlier on. That wasn't really his fault, and that's all you can say about it, really. Be interesting to judge that one, because I don't know. He's not bitchy. He probably won't report it, but if he does, it'd be interesting to look at. Witchell going purple. Interesting. Witchell has just gone a 10th purple. I mean, you know, obviously Witchell is quick. Arguably the quickest here. Depends who you ask, but I'd say he's probably the quickest here. But purple on mediums. That's interesting. We'll keep an eye on this. We'll follow him this lap. Why not? But if he does set the fastest lap on the mediums, this is really his first time out in clean air. That is some kind of statement, isn't it? Is he still purple? No, he's not still purple. He was purple through that first sector, which was very, very interesting indeed. It appears Adams served that penalty, but Chubbs is losing time massively. I think he might have made a mistake out of those final corners. Adam is back in the fight for the lead. Slipstream now is playing into full effect, and Adam is closing very quickly. So the fight for the lead is definitely back on. Again, 2 drivers who haven't won at all this season. One who hasn't won at all ever in GTRC. The other one has taken his fair share of wins already over the 2 seasons of DTM he did. Of course, talking about Chubbs. Chubbs just... Oh, that's a penalty for Chubbs, I think. That is, yeah, half a second penalty for Chubbs. Not what you want to do at that corner, and this puts Adam at a bit more of an advantage. Both their tyres pretty equal. I'd say Chubbs has slightly worse off tyres. But I'm not sure which car is actually quickest around here. I'd imagine the Supra is slightly quicker, but Adam, I mean, it highlights how quick Adam is at the moment. He's on stellar form. So far this season, he's been on stellar form, so, I mean... Either way, whichever one of the 2 gets this, fully deserving in my eyes, fully deserving. Chubbs has got that red Nissan GTR all over the back of him. Chubbs now looking to serve that penalty, and we will see what could end up being the final change for the lead. We are on lap 9 after all. Chubbs has to move to the right to serve the penalty. Through goes Adam. And let's just have a look at the gap between the 2 after that penalty. The gap has gone up to around 7 tenths now. which is slipstream range, if anyone doesn't know. We'll just see, but I think Adam is still just about giving Chubb slipstream. He is just about giving Chubb slipstream still. In fact, Chubbs has gotten a much better exit out of that corner. I'll just look further back at the grid, see what kind of fights are happening. I saw Kabinski went for a move for 8th, and now he's very far back. Has he got damage on his car? Has he been hit off? I wouldn't be able to tell you. But it's interesting. I saw him a second ago. He was in 8th, and now he's quite far behind 8th. So maybe he had a penalty. Not my place to comment, because I don't know what happened. But here we go. Adam defending for what could be his first ever race win in GTRC. Chubbs going for his first win of the season. So both a lot on the line for these two. Both driving for different teams. Chubbs needs to keep it steady through that corner. Again, he was quite close to those track limits, and he's picked up a penalty there. So this surefire looks to be Adams, unless Adam also picks up another penalty. Adam just needs to keep his head cool. He knows Chubbs has that penalty, so Adam just needs to tell himself there's nothing to lose here. Just go for it. Don't get the penalty. Don't push too hard. That's a big blunder from Chubbs. It's that corner in particular, that turn 4, I think it is. He just needs to work on his exit, because he just runs too wide ever so slightly every single time and picks up the penalty. It's quite obvious to see, and I know you might be thinking, oh God, how do you get track limits on a track like this, where it's just surrounded by dirt and it's a street circuit? But trust me, you do. Chubbs now having to serve that penalty, and this just looks like a surefire win for Adam Hands, should I say? Adam Hands, Mr. Hands, the Hands man. Adam Hands comes through the final few corners to take what looks to be a first win in the GTRC, first win this season, and what a win it is. Came up through the grid from, I think, P4 was where he started, starting P4 and coming home to take the win against a seasoned winner. I wouldn't say veteran, he hasn't been here that long, but a seasoned winner. Captain Chubbs, he's weaving across the line. He's really happy about this one. Adam takes the win. Chubbs has to settle for second, unfortunately, with that penalty. But great racing between the two of them. Sutters, with the penalty over the line, is he going to keep that P3? Yes, Will Sutters rounds out the podium. It's Jake Birkenhead, and then it's the other Jake and Jake Witchell, followed by Jold Langstadler. And then we have Joe Whedon, P7, Sophie in P8, and then it is Dominic Kabinski, P9. And then Luke Clark does make his way up into the top 10. He's very chuffed. Okay. Very chuffed about that one. He was in the top 10. And then that's Stein getting a penalty over the line, so Ruben is 11th, Stein is 12th. Yannick Payton in 13th, and then the American rounds out the grid. But your pole sitter for the next race is Luke Clark, I believe. In normal scenario, I won't say what that was, but he did just do a naughty thing, which has always been quite strictly penalised whenever someone does it. So I'm not going to penalise him unless anyone reports him. Please don't report him. It's not very nice. It's not very nice. But your finishing order is as follows. Adam Hands takes his first ever win in GTRC. Big congratulations to him. Well done. And then it is Che Easton, Captain Chubbs, with the fastest lap in P2, runner-up on this time round. And then 7.5 seconds behind the leader is Will Sutters. Really couldn't find the pace in this one in these conditions. Again, with a 1 second penalty over the line. So, interesting indeed. And he just about leads out Jake Birkenhead. Then behind that is the other Jake Witchell. Really strong race on them medium tyres. I think it's fair to say he does have to use the mediums again, but very strong race from him. And then Jolt Langstadler in P6. All up to change, however, because as we saw, there was a bit of an incident between Witchell and Luke Clark. So who knows what will happen? I certainly don't. So your pole sitter for this race is Luke Clark. Luke Clark, and then the front row is rounded out by Dominic Kabinski, but this one is a rolling start, not a standing start. So anything can happen. Anything can happen. What I can tell you is going to happen is we have another fan favourite to the series, another northerner, if you will, Where is he? There he is. From up to north. Tyler Davidson from Yorkshire. Love to see it. There you go, we got the second Northerner on the grid. Well, I don't think he is. I think there's a couple Northerners actually. But Tyler... Oh, I think Tyler was the original actually. I think Jake Birkenhead's also from up that neck of the woods. But you get a couple of Northerners here, but the big two from Yorkshire that everyone knows is Tyler and Luke Clark. So Tyler in the Toyota Supra, Repsol adorned livery, and looks wonderful. I think it's fair to say one of the nicer looking liveries on the grid. Really nice looking livery. So I think he'll be starting at the back of the grid on mediums, just to even out the playing field a little bit. It's only fair, this is the only race he's doing tonight, so it only makes sense that he starts at the back and on the medium tyres just to even things out. Because why not? Who's it going to kill, really? Who's it going to kill? We'll sit with him for a couple of laps. Sit with him for a couple of laps while we wait for race 3 to... Oh my lord, while we wait for race 3 to begin. We saw a Zeld Langstadler going in reverse. Of course, if you don't know, what we're waiting for is we're waiting for Chubbs to set the reverse grid, because Gran Turismo very cleverly don't have a reverse grid function in this game. You know, they had it in their last game in GT Sport, not in this one, because you know they have a habit of removing features. But I would just like to comment: Tyler's using a Valentino Rossi helmet by the looks of it, which I do appreciate seeing. I do very much appreciate seeing. Have a quick gander at all the helmets. Jake Birkenhead's using a blue and red one, I think it is. Oh, he's died of death. Couldn't tell you what the American's using. Probably a Star Spangled Banner. I know what Supra's using because I made that helmet, using a blue and pink one. This is human bowling. I did see bits of it. Honestly, I did see bits of it. There was well, from my screen it looked like you brutally murdered Luke Clark. I won't lie, Jake. So you got some answering to do. It looked like you got caught up, bounced about between a bunch of other people, and then just sideswiped Luke. Sutters with the Takuma Sato inspired helmet. Obviously, for anyone who watched Formula 1 before Drive to Survive became a thing, Takuma Sato was a Formula 1 driver. And he often did that kind of thing, funnily enough. He often crashed into people very much like that. Joe 90 is using another blue and red helmet. Witchell using a helmet with the planets and the stars on. I know you can't see it, but it's got planets and stars on, which is a bit gay. No, I do very much like it. He's done a good job with that helmet. I told him ever since he first made it, that helmet looks class. Oh, here we go. We got Jake's verdict of the Luke Clark incident. I need to bring up YouTube so I can actually read the full thing. He lost the car and collected him. Couldn't drive straight at the start. Yeah, I could honestly, Jake, I could see you were all over the road in that race, sliding out of every single corner until like about lap 6, lap 7. I was concerned. I won't lie, I was concerned. But got it under wraps eventually, obviously, with that P5 finish. Luke with a yellow and purple helmet. I think that's purple. It's interesting colour choices, but it works. What else is? Another look at Peyton. Oh, I like that. I don't know what that is, but I like that. Yannick for Peyton with a really nice helmet. Golden red. Getting livid with a few pushy moves, was driving red. I could tell, yeah, there was lots and lots going on in those first couple of laps. I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame you. Car flying in the air, it's just where the rearview mirror was taken off from the car. Fuck me. Sorry, I can't say that. Official stream. So we will get qualifying started soon, hopefully. Scholt Langstadler just pushing Jake Witchell along, so get a move on. All the bollards over everywhere. I genuinely really don't know what Jake Birkenhead just did wrong there. He was full lock right and still hit the wall on what should technically be a flat out corner. I really don't know what he just did there. Is this qualifying? Oh, this is qualifying. Is this the race starting? I believe it is. So here we are with the rolling start. Luke Clark leading by a country mile. Well, no, he's leading by about the same gap that everyone else has, but I'd imagine he would be leading by a country mile after this, because that... no, I'd say both cars have pretty good acceleration, but one's on the mediums, one's on softs. So here we go, with the rolling start. This one, there's no 5 red lights, it's 3, 2, 1, and we are away. Luke, just keeping the gap, everyone's keeping their gaps. I say that, but Joe is already on the back of Sophie. Joe going for the move. Sophie's gone very deep there. Joe keeps that move going, keeps the move going, but he doesn't quite get the overtake. This one, very moody lighting, quite like it. Obviously this one at sunset, so all of the headlights come on for this. But Luke still keeping that lead. Not really looking under threat from anyone, but there's all kinds of battling going on in the background. Langstadler side by side with, what looks like that was Witchell. Witchell side by side with Birkenhead. I'll tell you what, the one thing I really wish about Gran Turismo 7 is they have better camera angles. I mean, Christ alive, this is just impossible to watch. Luke Clark just, I think he's just outbraked himself maybe. Kavinsky hasn't gone for the move, so maybe there was contact there. Kavinsky staying patient all along the back of Luke Clark. Goes for that wide line, trying to cut back in. He just goes around the outside of Luke Clark. Really impressive move there. Luke Clark, I think he's struggling or something, but wow, what a move from Kavinsky there. As Kavinsky takes the race lead. He is on the medium tyres though, so your guess is as good as mine for how long he's actually going to keep that race lead. Witchell making good ground already, up into P3, and Witchell looking very fighty on their medium tyres. Much better than he did at the start of the last race, as we've just found out. He was very red in the eyes, which we've all had those kind of races. I very much fully understand what he means. And he is in the slipstream, so he's very much still in this fight. Side by side between Thorejo and Chuz. It's almost 3 wide going to turn 2. In fact, I think it was 3 wide there momentarily as Chubbs just go for the inside. These camera angles are so fucking awful. They're so bad. But Chubbs just pulls up alongside, or behind, should I say, Luke Clark. Thorejo just behind him, and then Sutter's just behind that. Sutter's also in a second race on the mediums, but Adam, the race winner now, should I say, race winner Adam, in P10, looking for the move up the inside of Sutter's, now turning into the outside. He might have to back out this one, and he does. One thing I do love about these conditions is look at the flames coming out of those exhausts. That is awesome. That's very cool. You can see them so much better when it's darker, and I think that just looks so cool. Looking back up, Jake Witchell has caught up a little bit. He's now going around the outside of Dominic Kavinsky. Oh, he was briefly going around the outside of Dominic Kavinsky. It looks like they're all being held up a little bit by the lead car. Because the lead car, I think, is on softs. Kavinsky forced to the outside. We'll watch from Witchell's perspective. Oh, contact there as Sophie just pushes Kavinsky wide. And now it's Witchell versus Kavinsky. Witchell gets the move done. I think Kavinsky just had a little slide there, but Kavinsky was just shoved wide, going around the outside there. Just couldn't make the move because of that. Jake Burke. Jake Burke's on the softs. Interesting. I think he's used his mediums in the first 2 races. So, right, this is interesting. Was he? I think he's used his 2 mediums. Jake Burke, yeah, I mean, all power to him. Looks like Jake Burke has a very good shout of winning this one. He's timed this to perfection because 2 cars in front are on mediums and the other one on softs looks to not really have the pace that he should do. Because, I mean, one of those cars in the mediums is catching quite quickly. So, all eyes on Jake Burke, I think, for this one. Oh, braking very late, though, was Dominic Kavinsky there. And there's a little bit of contact between himself and Witchell. Speaking of hot-headed, all I'm saying is this is not helping Jake Burke in any way. He's got 2 cars much slower than him in front, you know, on those medium tyres. Jake Burke, I'm sure, wants to be clearing them, but they're currently making their lives more difficult for each other. Is that Jake Burke with the penalty there? No, it wasn't. Oh, shit. Fuck off. And now my cat's getting hyper. Burke is just biding his time. He's got 7 laps to do it. Sutter's just made a move there on Joe Whedon. Stop attacking my clothes. Oh, shit. Sorry. Oh, fucking hell. Right, sorry, I'm sorting out my cat. She's very hyper. Kavinsky now on the inside for turn 2. Kavinsky's going for that move on Witchell. Witchell leaves the gap. Kavinsky makes the move. Now Witchell is under pressure from Jake Birkenhead. 2 Jakes. Birkenhead does make the move there. So Birkenhead's cleared one of the medium runners. Oh, contact there. But Birkenhead's cleared one of the medium runners. It's now up to clearing Dominic Kavinsky, who's now a second up the road from the initial move on Jake Witchell. Now I had to pick up my cat and I'm just holding her so she calms down. She's biting my arm. What a nightmare. You're a nightmare. So the gap's decreased massively between the top 2. I'm not sure what happened there. I think Kavinsky's just got a tiny bit more pace at this stage in the race. But who's got even more pace than that? I'd imagine Jake Birkenhead will do soon on them soft tyres. I still think this really is one to lose. Gap's 1.2 to the race leader. The race leader who I'm sure will be fighting another Honda in a moment. But all things considered, a very good race for Team Honda. Go on, get down. Oh, you fucking nightmare. Side by side now. Kavinsky forced to the outside. The inside and overtakes Sophie. Kavinsky now the new race leader on the medium tyres. Now it's Birkenhead, who still has to contend with 2 cars. But this time now the car he has to contend with is on soft tyre. Birkenhead all over the back of the green monster. Oh, green monstrosity, should I say? That's what I often call it. Stop chewing my bleeding cloves. Don't bite my finger. Down the inside now for Jake Birkenhead. He makes that move quite easily. Jake Birkenhead now looking for first place. Gap between himself and Dominik Kubinski is 1 second. This is really important for the championship, because honestly, it's between these two on who leads out of this round. It's very close stuff between the two of them. Very close stuff between Sutters himself, but Sutters is not having the race week he might want, the evening he might want. He's picked himself up another penalty there, just stuck behind Joe Whedon. Sutters not really having the ideal week. Gavin Chubbs is not really having a good race either. Luke Clark has fallen straight back. Tyler Davidson as well, not really made any inroads in this one. What happened to Jake Burke? Sorry, I think I missed that. I think Jake Burke might have made some kind of mistake there, or he was in some kind of incident, but let's have a look. Does he have damage? Hard to say. His damage might even not be turned on, but he is currently running P5. He was P2, so interesting to see what happened there. I don't think it would have been him and Kubinski, because the gap wasn't really close enough between those two for anything to have happened while I wasn't looking. But a new contender for the race has showed up. Ruben Thorejo in what is a very fast McLaren this week. He's now running in the top 3. Jake Witchell is also just quietly biding his time at P4. He's had a much quieter race, I think it's fair to say, than the last race, but Witchell has had a very good night, all things considered. Obviously, having to use 2 sets of mediums, he won the first race, came 5th in the last one, now running in the top 5 again. So, Witchell, take a bow. Very good work from him. Very good racing from him as well. There you go. Kubinski, as you'd expect, is beginning to lose that lead a bit, having the tyre disadvantage. But someone you'd expect to close quickly, and yet he is closing up very quickly now, is Ruben Thorejo. Ruben with the Pokemon Park or whatever, I think that's what the helmet is. It's got Pokemon on it, I know that much. In the slipstream of the green monstrosity. Goes for the inside of the next corner. Ruben makes the move done, or does he? Sophie dives down the inside. Oh, there might have been a tiny bit of contact there. So Ruben just has to settle for P3. Be patient, wait until the next best opportunity to overtake, which could be this upcoming corner, but I think it's just a bit too far back to get anything done. So Ruben sitting for P3, being patient. Podium's a podium at the end of the day. Ruben again, this is really where the McLaren struggles the most on its pace. It's also where the softs would have the most advantage over the mediums, so you'd expect the gap to close a bit between the top 2, and I think they are a little bit. Maybe not. Maybe Kubinski has a bit too much pace on their medium tyres. Thorejo desperately trying to close that gap between himself and Sophie, and don't you fucking dare attack that cat. She's currently on her back with her paws up in the air, doing the whole I'm gonna be hyper, stupid little guy. I hate cats, they're the worst. Don't get one. Oh, the two Jakes fighting, and Burke has found a gap on the inside. Witchell has to let that one go. I think that looked relatively clean, but Witchell will not be happy without that one. Leaving that gap open for Burke to just sneak his nose in and get the move done. Witchell will not be happy about that one. It's Burke just climbing his way back up, might be able to get back into the top 3. We've not got many laps left, but it's not impossible. Kubinski still leading this race by quite a convincing lead. It's not all tied up for him either. Not tied up for anyone, really. Thorejo just not really gaining as much as he probably would have hoped to. Maybe now this is where his terrible tyre wear comes into effect. Thorejo, again, just not quite gaining. I think he's actually probably losing now to P2. Kavinsky now is also losing a little bit. This is the sector where you'd expect him to lose. Obviously, the tyre advantage is crucial through these corners. And as I say that, he gains a bit, so shows how much I know, clearly. But the fight is definitely between these top three. Birkenhead, I'd imagine, would like to get involved, but anything can happen. You never know how much of these three are going to fight. In fact, it looks like that there might be an overtake brewing. But if it is an overtake, it's going to be quite an aggressive dive bomb. Kavinsky knows that, goes straight for the inside, doesn't quite cover it, but does enough to dissuade the move. Slightly wide there, out of one of the final few corners. It's not really the final corner, is it? But it's one of the final few, final proper corner, let's say. And now it's onto the straight that isn't quite straight. And again, it looks like the man who's getting the biggest advantage in the background is the Spaniard, Ruben Thorejo, the Catalan. I think he's Catalan, I'm not too sure. Whoa, what's going on there? Jeez, that looks very late braking from P2 there. Kavinsky just improves his lead a little bit there. Thorejo very slow through that second corner once again. Really just does not have the pace through that second corner. There's a move there for the lead. Might have been a tiny tag there on the rear. Looked like there might have been. Kavinsky does get the move back. Oh, and then there's a full proper door tap there. Move isn't quite properly done though. He lets Kavinsky back through by the looks of it. It's good sportsmanship between the two. Kavinsky just about holds on to the lead of this race, but this is bringing Thorejo more and more into the fight. Thorejo really needs to get properly involved here because this is a prime opportunity for him. He's got a very fast car. He's on the soft tyres. This is his prime opportunity, realistically, Ruben Thorejo. So again, it looked like there was just a little bit of a tap through the apex there. Kavinsky's lost out. Thorejo now makes the move on the onto Kavinsky, and now it's another Honda, and Thorejo now leads this race. The two Hondas are squabbling. Ruben Thorejo in the section of the track where he has the biggest advantage as well. There goes Ruben Thorejo. And up the road he will disappear, I'm sure of it. Especially on this straight section. Defending very aggressively there in the green monstrosity. Goes for the outside of turn 2. Kavinsky goes for the inside, but that will turn into the inside at turn 2. Oh, there's contact. Oh, was Sophie defends that move. Contact as Kavinsky's pushed wide slightly. Kavinsky, I'm sure, will not be happy about that one. Kavinsky just settling behind. He's got to try and go for the move again. P2's P2. But we are on the final lap here. So this will be the last opportunity, last chance for Dominic Kavinsky. Oh my God, there's more contact there. Kavinsky, he does go for the move here. There's too much door banging there for my liking, too much door banging. And Kavinsky does get the move done, but I don't think this is over. Judging by the quality of driving so far this lap, this will not be over. I'm expecting a dive bomb, to be completely honest. I'm fully expecting a dive bomb, and there is the dive bomb, but Kavinsky does cover it well. Sorry, I'm mistaken, that probably wasn't much of a dive bomb, but that definitely is. Kavinsky seems to be hit by there, and yeah, Kavinsky has retaliated by the looks of it. So, one for the stewards, I think it's fair to say. That definitely looked like if you're going to push me, I'm going to push you kind of affair. So, for the first time this season, we can say a McLaren has won the race, and for the first time this season, Ruben Thorejo wins in the final race of the night. Then it's Dominic Kubinski, Jake Birkenhead, Sophie, then Jake Witchell with another top 5. Adam with a P6, good recovery. I think it's fair to say you were struggling earlier this race. And then it's Old Langstadler, followed by Will Suttis, who will lose that position to Joe, but not quite to the American, who gets into the top 10. So good job from our debutant tonight. And then it is Yannick Verpeyten, followed by Tyler Davison. Bit of a quiet race for Tyler, but he was there and thereabout. And then it is Captain Chubbs and Luke Clark giving us a show over the line. Luke spinning around, taking the final position. And there he goes. So for the first time tonight, Ruben Thorejo, our race winner. For the first time this season, should I say, Ruben Thorejo in the McLaren. So good points for Team McLaren. Congratulations to Ruben. Clean race bonus as well. 10 positions raised. Wow, what a race. What a race from Ruben Thorejo. Saving that replay. That was what a race from Ruben Thorejo. 10 positions gained. Clean race bonus. Congratulations. Well done, Ruben. And well done to Team McLaren for a pretty decent points haul tonight. So, good effort from them. So, here are your final finishing results for the evening. Ruben Thorejo wins a very impressive race. Great performance from him. Then it is Dominic Kubinski who comes home in second, involved with that controversial incident with Sophie. If I were to give my input, it very much looked like one pushed the other and then the other retaliated and did the same back to them, which is not really the way to sort an incident. But to be completely honest, if that is what happened and it shows up in the stewards' room, then it just makes life easier for the stewards to say you raced each other as hard as you did. That's usually how it works, unless one was significantly harsher than the other. At the end of the day, if you race each other equally, it's not really anyone else's problem. Jake Birkenhead rounds out the podium, obviously, and then Jake Witchell rounds out the top 5. So 3 top 5s in a row, technically, for Jake. A win and then 2 P5s. But this is big movement in the championship. Jake Birkenhead, I believe, after tonight will be your new championship leader. Obviously taking that fastest lap too. Jake Birkenhead has been very strong this season, so all respect to him. Good on him. Very good work from Mr. Birkenhead. So usually I would do interviews, but tonight I genuinely don't have the time to do interviews. I could tell. That's what I was saying in commentary. My initial thought was he shoved you wide and then you shoved him wide, and I said that's fair game, to be completely honest. That's just how racing works. If you're going to shove other people wide, you get treated the way you treat other people. But no doubt I'll be looking at that in some kinds of stewards report. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, interesting 3 races tonight. This track, does it produce good racing? I'd say so. If you'd asked Jake Witchell, he'd say the reversed version, but that's just because he won a race here I think a year ago, actually. It was a while ago. He won a race here and just goes on and on about how brilliant it was because he overtook about 1 million people to do it on worse tyres, might I add. And then I think the move for the lead was around the outside. But anyway, what did you all think? It'd be interesting to hear what the drivers thought of this track. I thought it produced good enough racing. I think it's fair to say. I think it produced good enough racing. It's really all down to what the drivers thought. If we do this for another season, this track I'm sure will probably be on the calendar still. But there's definitely worse tracks. I think it's fair to say there's worse tracks. But we had 3 rather interesting races. Obviously, your race winners tonight were Jake Witchell in the first race. Second race was a brand new race winner to GTRC and Adam Hands. And then Ruben Thorejo, former Alfa Romeo 155 champion, took home his first race of the season and McLaren's first race of the season. So big points all around for McLaren, especially. They had 3 very strong races. And big points as well for Jake Birkenhead and for Dominic Kubinski, who both had a very strong evening and both capitalised very much on Will Sutter's struggling tonight. That Toyota really not looking in great form, I think it's fair to say. So, great stuff tonight. And we will see you all the same time next week. And I'm really sorry that I cannot do interviews because Yeah, I need to get to work early tonight, and I'm already running a little bit late. So we will see you all next week. Thank you very much. If you did enjoy it, just subscribe to the channel and you'll see the notification come up. Lots of love.